Howdy howdy, my name is John, and this video I'm going to try to catch up on some tag videos, so I'm going to do 3 tag videos in one. The first tag video is the Booktube Backstage Tag. I was tagged for this by Jess the Book Freak, and the original is by Rainierbooks. Question 1. What camera do you use for your videos? I just use the built-in webcam that came with my laptop, and so far so good. I'll actually put a picture in to kind of show you my setup. Question 2. Speaking about filming and being your own director, do you have a favorite film director? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good film directors out there, but my favorite is Kevin Smith. He's the director and writer behind Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and the various sequels. Question 3. What microphone do you use, and what program do you use to edit your videos? Again, I'm using the built-in microphone of my laptop computer, and then I'm using OpenShot to edit my videos. Don't really recommend OpenShot, but hey, the price was right. It's free. And I'll provide a link to the website where you can download it if you want to try it out. Question 4. Do you remember the first record that you bought or received as a gift? Now, I don't remember the first record I got because I was fairly young. My parents actually got me a record player that would play the record when you closed the top, so it was kid safe. The record wouldn't spin with the top open. I don't really remember the first cassette tapes I bought either. I started buying cassettes when I was, a fairly young teenager, maybe even a preteen. I do remember the first CDs that I bought. I don't know if you remember Columbia House. They used to offer like 8 CDs for the price of 1. Well, there was a similar company called BMG, and they had a similar type offer. And so some of the ones that I got for my introductory deal were the self-titled CD for Billy Dean, the self-titled album of Diamond Rio, Seminole Wind by John Anderson. This was his comeback album after a injury which sidelined him for several years. And then Greatest Hits #2 from Alabama. Yep, I was a late 80s, early 90s country music fan. Question 5. How do you prepare your videos? Talking points, a detailed script, or just talking? I've done all 3 on my channel. Some of my earliest videos are actually scripted, and I had to do that because I had a lot of trouble actually talking in front of a camera when I first started making videos, and it was just a lot easier for me to have a detailed script, and then I'd record the audio and put pictures up to have something to see. When I just talk, those videos are impossible to edit. They really take a long time. My best videos are when I have brief talking points, and I can kind of look at my talking points, kind of say what I want to, and then, take a pause, look at my next talking point, and I can edit that part of the video out. And it's gotten to the point now where a lot of the times, especially on my book reviews, where, I can edit those pretty quick. Question 6. TV shows have become the thing of our time. Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, Netflix, HBO, and Amazon. What are your favorite TV shows ever? Name a maximum of 3. Alright, so my 3 are Angel. This is the spinoff from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Number 2 is Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And then my number 3 is Greg the Bunny. Question 7. What kind of booktube videos do you prefer to watch and why? Reviews, wrap-ups, vlogs, book hauls, tag videos, or? My favorite type of video are monthly wrap-ups. I try to watch as many monthly wrap-ups as I can. I also really enjoy tag videos. Tag videos are a lot of fun to watch and to make. I don't watch a whole lot of reviews. I tend to watch reviews either for books that I've read. I do like to, if I'm checking out a new booktuber, I will kind of look through their list of videos and see if they've done a book review on a book I've read. And that a lot of times will be the first video I watch from them, or the second, if I don't watch their Booktube newbie video first. And I don't really watch book hauls or vlogs anymore. Question 8. Watching TV was probably a part of all our childhoods. These years it has become less popular. What kind of media user are you? Well, I do have both streaming Netflix and I have DVD by mail Netflix. The DVD by mail, you still have a much better selection than you do with streaming. It used to be a really good deal. I used to be able to get about 2 discs a week, but they closed the distribution facility that was near my house, and now I can usually only get about 1 disc a week. And with COVID, it's actually about a disc every 9 or 10 days now. I was actually watching a lot of YouTube before I discovered Booktube. I especially like to watch the Dice Tower. That's a YouTube channel that covers board games. When I took my month off of Booktube, I actually got caught up on a lot of the Dice Tower videos. I also like watching educational YouTube channels like TED Talks and Crash Course. And today I found out those educational channels I still enjoy watching when I get time. The next tag I'm going to do is Choose Your Own Adventure Fantasy Character Tag. I was tagged for this by a Kupel Books, and this tag was created by a committee of people, and I'll list all of their channels in the description below. Prompt 1, Fantasy Twin. Name a character you can relate to on a personal level. I recently read The Soul Forge by Margaret Weiss, and the main character in this is Raceland. And it was a little scary to kind of note the similarities between Raceland and myself. Prompt number 2, Hero. Name a character that you aspire to be like. For this one, I'm going to pick Hazel from Watership Down. Hazel really is the perfect leader. Hazel knows how to work with all of the rabbits that he is being the leader for, and he brings out the best in each and every one of them. I believe the smart rabbit, I believe his name was Bluebell. Bluebell comes up with a scheme, and Hazel really doesn't understand it, but he trusts him enough to implement it. Prompt number 3, Champion. Choose a character to be your champion in a duel. I want to go ahead and name 2 characters for this one because, first of all, I don't get to talk about Dritz Stewart enough on my channel, so I'm going to choose Dritz from the Dritz series of novels. I'm also going to choose Kest from the Greatcoat series. Kest is the best fighter of the group. If I had to pick a champion, I would definitely pick Kest. Prompt number 4, Unlikable Character. Name a character you love to hate. Now, I am cheating a little bit because this character actually originated on a TV show, but he does show up in graphic novels that are based off of the TV show, so I'm going to count him anyway. This character is Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. Unfortunately, I was introduced to Spike during the middle of Season 4. Season 4 is when Spike has a chip in his brain that prevents him from doing violence. The entire time I saw him on the screen, I was screaming at the TV, "Why haven't you killed him already?" Prompt number 5, Tavern Buddy. Name a character with whom you want to have a drink or spend a night on the town. For this one, I'm going to have to go with Ford Prefect from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. Ford is a man who is, of course, an intergalactic traveler, and the man always knows exactly where his towel is. Prompt number 6, Villain. Name a character with whom you would not want to cross paths. I'm reading through the Black Company series, And one of the villains that keeps showing up is Limper. Limper is unrelentless. He keeps coming after whatever it is that he wants. And I definitely wouldn't want to have to tangle with him. Prompt number 7, mentor. Name a character you would want to learn from or have as a mentor. This one, I'm going to choose Tanis Have-Elven from the Dragonlance series of books. Tanis is not a flashy character, and I think that's the reason he's not really anybody's favorite character in Dragonlance. Except for me, Tanis is my favorite character. And Tanis really is kind of the perfect leader. He inspires the people around him to do their best work. Prompt number 8, Samwise. Name a character who you could trust or be your best friend. I assume Samwise is ineligible for this one because his name is in the title. So the obvious second choice is Neville Longbottom from the Harry Potter series. Number 9, Found Family. If you could adopt one character, give it a home, who would it be? For this one, I'm going to have to pick the parody from Pet Peeve. This is one of the Xanth novels by Piers Anthony. Now, I would have to kind of explain the parody's, how shall I put this? His rather colorful language. I'll put it that way. He does like to insult people. And so, you know, he can be really funny, but he can be really aggravating too. But, you know, sometimes there's some things that you just can't say. Well, the parody will say it for you. The last tag I'm going to do is the spoiler tag. I was tagged for this by Beth Ann, and the original was by Gunpowder, Fiction, and Plot. Question number 1, what do you consider a spoiler? To me, a spoiler is an event that you know is going to happen before it does, and it kind of ruins the emotional impact that that piece of knowledge would have had you not known it. I'm going to use an example that's from The Lord of the Rings. So, you know, if you've not read Lord of the Rings or seen the movies, in Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf falls while he's fighting the Balrog. The rest of the Fellowship must leave him behind, and of course they're quite upset about this. But then, in The Two Towers, it turns out that Gandalf did not die, he just merely fell a really long distance. He is then able to reunite with some of the Fellowship. If you knew Gandalf was going to come back in The Two Towers, him falling in the Fellowship doesn't really have an emotional impact. Question 2. Does the genre you're reading impact what you consider to be a spoiler? I don't really read a whole lot outside of the science fiction and fantasy genres, so I really kind of have to say no to this. I know nonfiction technically doesn't really concern itself with spoilers, but if I'm reading something that I don't know about or don't know a whole lot about, still I can appreciate some surprising moments that may have not come as a surprise if I'd have known more about the subject. Question 3. All the best bits are in the trailer. Sometimes a synopsis can be too detailed. Do you research books prior to reading them, or do you go in blind? I do watch a fair amount of Booktube. I get a lot of my book recommendations from there. And usually if there's a book that I'm interested in, I will go to look at it in Goodreads. And I don't really read the synopsis as much as I do look at the genres and subgenres that people have put them in, because there are some subgenres that I don't care to read. And so usually that's what I'm checking for before I'll put it on my TBR. But usually enough time has passed between me putting it on a TBR and then buying the book and then actually reading it that I've forgotten most of what I knew prior to it. So fortunately, I don't really get spoiled too awful bad with books. Question 4. Sometimes the introduction or translator's notes can spoil the ending, especially for classics. Has this ever happened to you? I accidentally skipped this question while I was filming, I've got 3 examples for this. I really wish I would have skipped the introduction for Animal Farm by George Orwell before I read it. It didn't really spoil it, but it definitely colored how I read the novel. The introduction for Frankenstein by Mary Shelley in this edition had some minor spoilers in it as well. The problem was it also had some useful background information that kind of helped me read the novel. So, that's what an introduction should do, is give you enough information to help a modern reader kind of understand where an author is coming from without actually spoiling anything that's in the novel itself. I talked about this in my review for the series, but the introduction in this edition does contain a spoiler that actually doesn't show up until the 2nd book. If you want to read Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler, I do suggest skipping the introduction by N.K. Jemisin until after you've read both novels. Question 5. Name a time somebody spoiled a novel for you. I have a buddy of mine who's reading through the Dragonlance novels with me, and he actually mentioned one of the characters and how he or she dies in a novel that I haven't read yet. Question 6. Have you ever spoiled a novel for someone else? I think there have been a couple occasions where I've been talking about a book and I will ask somebody if it's okay to talk about spoilers, and they'll give me permission to. I don't think I've ever accidentally spoiled a novel for somebody. Question 7. If spoilers ruin novels, are there some authors or genres you can't reread? No, spoilers don't really affect my ability to reread a novel. Usually if I'm rereading it, I want to look for the clues that kind of foreshadowed whatever event that it was that would be considered a spoiler. Question 8. When reviewing, are you spoiler free? Does this limit your ability to discuss? Most of my videos are spoiler free. I do occasionally make videos where I will do a spoiler free review at the beginning of the video, and then I will announce that I'm going to talk about spoilers, and then I'll discuss spoilers in the latter half. For the first book in a series, there are times where I will do both a spoiler-free review and a discussion video. The reason I like to do 2 separate videos is it gives people a video where they don't have to worry about reading a spoiler in the comments. I've also found that for later books in a series, usually the combo approach works best, because most people aren't really going to watch a review video for a later book in a series to see if they're also going to pick it up. Usually they want to see what somebody else thought about it. If they are looking, if they want to continue in a series, usually a short spoiler-free review section is all that's necessary. Question 9, shout out. Tell us about 5 channels you enjoy and then tag them. All 3 of these tags are fairly old now. I'm kind of trying to get caught up on my tag videos, and I think most of the people that I have watched have already done these 3 tags. If you're watching this video and you haven't done one of these 3 tags and you want to do them, well, go right ahead and do them. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.